Rabotai, today I would like to read for you guys in Mokor HaChaim. There's a Od Zayin, Steve Zayin, page 46. A lot of times, Rabotai, when a person speaks Lashon Hara, Rabotai, he makes a prohibition of hating his brother in his heart, which is one of the biggest transgressions in the Torah. A lot of times we don't realize that when we speak badly about somebody, we are actually hating them. And I just want to show you over here, who are we allowed to hate, but at the same time, what does hatred cause to us, Rabotai? A lot of times, technically speaking, Hashem gave us health, Hashem gave us parnasa, Hashem gives us everything, correct? But what do? We destroy it ourselves. We start envying people, we start hating people, and this way we start eating ourselves alive. Until Chas v'Shalom, a person will become sick, and then he has to use the money to try to go ahead and heal himself. While in the beginning he was a billionaire, now in the country who knows who he's going to be. Rabotai, so the Mekor HaChaim says like this: V'lefamim over ha'misaper gam ken belav delot tisnei et achicha belvavecha. Rabotai, when a person speaks Lashon Hara, at times he's also able to transgress the negative commandment of hating his brother in your heart. Because again, Rabotai, when you're speaking Lashon Hara, you're doing at least over 30 negative and positive commandments together. It's not like eating pig on Yom Kippur. It's even worse, Rabotai. They're studing from the Torah. Kigon, for example, he says, Rabotai, many times we see this. Kigon im befanav shalom yidaber edrehu. When you're in front of the person, you speak nicely to him. Correct? How are you? How's everything, Rabotai? V'shelo befanav mavish edrecho b'fnei achem, Rabotai. But when you're not in front of that person, you embarrass him in front of other people. How many times you see this when you're crossing two streets, Rabotai? How many times you walk with people? Hey, kak dila, this guy's a low life. But I don't hear, you don't hear what all the person is saying, Rabotai. These things are asur. No, but you're saying to somebody over here about somebody over there. This is asur, you're not allowed to do that. Why are you speaking badly about another person? So he says, how much more sure, Rabotai, what do we do? Don't tell him. What I just told you, don't tell him. That for sure, Rabotai, you are making this prohibition of not hating your brother in your heart. That one should not hate his brother, meaning your Jewish fellow in your heart. The bevadai over Allah, there for sure you transgress this negative commandment, Rabotai. You know the truth is when we come to these the business of Lashon Hara or Richilut or cursing, Rabotai, we don't chab. We don't even have an understanding, believe me. Only if we had an understanding, I don't know if we would ever open our mouth. Why? Because there's so many negative commandments, Rabotai. If I tell you didn't put on tefillin today, you might feel bad. Okay, I didn't put on tefillin. Rabotai, but it's a few positive mitzvot. Tefillin shal yad, tefillin shal rosh. Rabotai, when you speak one word of Lashon Hara, when you speak many words of Lashon Hara, depending on how many people you're speaking to, do you know how many very negative and positive commandments from the Torah that you're doing? It quadruples, Rabotai. It's unbelievable. So guys, so we see over here that a person has to be careful not to behave in such a way where you speak with your mouth one way, but in your heart you think completely different about him. Don't say anything. Don't just say hi and bye. But you don't have to make any weird comments. Rabotai, but he says like this in number 45 and page 47, he says, Rabotai, what happens if a person transgress an avera a public avera, people know about it. Or if he transgressed a sin which is not so public, however, you warned your friend. For example, let me give you a simple case. You see a person, Rabotai, he knows what Shabbat is, he knows what Torah is. You tell him, listen, don't pick up the phone on Shabbat. Listen, you know it's wrong. You come to my house, have some respect in my house. The least you can do. Again, Rabotai, I'm not speaking about Chilonim that Bichlal don't know that Hashem exists. I'm talking about people that they know. Just, some people that just have this ta'avod, this desires to do averis. So you tell them, please, don't speak in my house, have some respect. Don't come by the car. You want to come to shul by car. I'm not telling you this is mutar. It's asur. But if you're doing it, don't make it so obvious. Don't pull up in your car right in front of the shul, park like nothing, and then walk into the shul like you're God. Rabotai, these are big problems. If you come across such a person, he says, and you warned him nicely, you came up to him. So listen, don't do this. Listen, I'm not telling you allowed to come by car, but at the very least, you should hide what you're doing. Don't be so proud of the affairs that you're doing. Rabotai, and he didn't return from Teshuvah. Who do you think you are? A million places I go, not one rabbi tells me, and here you are, little, whatever, yeah? You come over here and you tell me what to do. Rabotai, Katav Lekam later on he writes, in Lashon Hara Klal Daled Ber Mayim Chaim Sifkat and Yudalid, Shimutar l'sno oto rabotai. It is permissible to hate him. This is not a problem, Rabotai. Why? Because he's going openly against Hashem. You're not hating him because he did something wrong to you. You're hating him because he's going openly against Hashem, Rabotai. However, Rabotai, he says like this: Im lo ra'a be'atzmo el shema zod mipi ed echad, katav lekamen she'asur l'sno oto al pi zeh, ki ed echad en mo'il ela l'shavua. Rabotai, listen to this carefully. If you didn't see this, you only heard. Somebody told you, you hear that guy, he pulls up, Rabotai, how we see today, or you hear he smokes on Shabbat, or he sleeps with this woman Lolain, or he does this, Avera, he doesn't put on tefillin, Rabotai. As long as you're listening to it, you're not allowed to hate him. You have to be able to see it with your own eyes. Okay? However, he says, what happens if you have people that they deny the Torah? Whether it's the written Torah, whether it's the oral Torah, they don't believe in it. Doesn't matter in what. Certain people, they don't believe in the Chet HaMeitim. They don't believe in the resurrection of the dead. So they're not going to get up, Rabotai. In this situation, there is a mitzvah to even hate such people, Rabotai. People that go openly against Hashem, meaning like apikoshim, Rabotai. I'll put it to you like this. I don't know how much you have this today in the modern day with Orthodox, but how much more you have this with conservative and reforms, Rabotai. It doesn't have, by us, it's a little bit, a lot of times, Rabotai, is out of ignorance. Believe me, it's out of ignorance. Once you teach a person halachot, believe me, they start realizing a lot of times people don't do something is only because they don't know what the halach requires of them. That's it. But it's like a child playing with a knife. As long as he doesn't know, he's going to cut himself. But once you explain the sharpness of the knife, what the damage he can do, you show him pictures of what happened to other people, believe me, Rabotai, 99.9 people start changing. You have exceptions to the rule, but people change. Rabotai, but I want to read for you over here something very important. Rabotai, but to hate any Jew is a very big problem. Why? He says, "Ubechumrat iser sinat Yisrael ha'iri b'sifra ahavat Yisrael, v'katav sham perak aleph she'al yidei avon zeh mamshich adam ruach tuma al kol gufo." Here we go. This is what I started off with before, Rabotai. When you started hating another Jew, you ready for this? When you start hating another Jew, do you know what the problem is? You start bringing a spirit, which is like a bad spirit, on yourself, and then you wonder why my whole day is bad. You wonder why am I not in the mood? Because you're hating people for no reason. What are you hating people for? What? He has a better house, he has a better car, he went here, he went there, she went there. Rabbi, she has a better dress, she has better shoes. You're hating other people for no reason, Rabotai. So how do you ever want to have peace in your life? You don't have it. Rabotai, by you hating them, what do? You bring the spirit, the impure spirit upon yourself, upon your whole body. Rabotai, listen to this carefully. Rabotai, listen to this carefully. When a person does an avera, you don't put on tefillin. You spoke Lashon Hara. Rabotai, you ready? You looked where you're not supposed to look. You heard you're not supposed to hear. You did averas with your legs by going to a place where you're not supposed to be. Every one of the limbs, that limb has already the ruach hatumah. The spiritual impurity is on it. But Rabotai, but v'sinat chinam. But when you hate people for no reason, they did nothing to you. They said nothing to you. Mom, just because somebody's better than you doesn't mean you have to hate him, Rabotai. But when you hate somebody for no reason, she'ikar belev, Rabotai, where the main root is where? In the heart. V'chol chayei hadam tuluim hem belev. A whole person's being alive is where? In the heart. In the heart stops beating, person dies. Rabotai, since sinat chinam is in the left, Rabotai, since everything is in the heart, mamshich bazeh ruach hatuma al kol iverav. This is where you're able to bring the ruach hatuma, the spiritual impurity, on your whole body. When you don't put on tefillin, the hand has the spiritual impurity. But when you're hating somebody which is from the heart, what ends up happening? The spiritual impurity goes on your body. Rabotai, and this is why we began. Rabotai, listen to this carefully. It is very critical to know every single person, each one of us, is a walking billion-dollar machine. But the problem is we don't recognize it. We don't recognize it. Why? I explained to you. A lot of times a person has eyesight, he's able to walk, he's able to taste, he's able to hear, etc. Correct? But you ready for this, Rabotai? How many of us, because our hatred towards other people, always complaining, always whining, he has better than me, always this and that, etc. Rabotai? How many of us, because of that, what do? We eat ourselves alive. Now what are we doing, Rabotai? We bring the spiritual impurity, but not only spiritual impurity, Rabotai. It kills a person physically, healthily, his eyes start to deteriorate, his body no longer works the same, Rabotai, he starts waning, his body starts just becoming less and less. And then once he becomes older, he doesn't have the strength to continue doing anything. Now he needs medication, and he needs home attendants, etc. Rabotai. Why? All because a person wanted to be smart. He didn't agree with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why Hashem gave him something that he doesn't have. That's what, Rabotai, a person has to be very happy with what he has.
Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. A person has to be happy with what he has. Baruch Adonai Olam, Amen, Amen. Very good. Baruch